They're a big partner of ours in terms of creating that benchmark and the industry-wide benchmark for all sustainability. They have 27,000 companies that have taken the assessment. They're not just comparing yourself to other PISC members. And they've done a really amazing job of creating kind of that standard benchmark and overall QAA. So from there, I will let Kara take it away.
Great, thanks, Sarah. So I am going to spend some time talking today about kind of the broader picture of not only the assessment itself that the PISC QIA is based on, but actually kind of the overall community of companies that are part of the certified B Corp movement. So I'll talk a little bit more about what that means and give you a sense of kind of why those companies decide to continue on and not only measure their performance, but actually decide to kind of complete the full certification. So it should give you some sense of sort of the bigger movement that surrounds those metrics that PISC members are using. I'm going to go ahead and get into presentation mode here. Great. Again, I'll kind of give you a sense of the overview. Then we'll also talk about the why, and then finish with kind of how to actually get started. And so I'll take you through pretty quickly the steps that are involved in getting certified as a B Corporation. So first, I work for a nonprofit organization called B Lab. There's a lot of B's here, so I want to make sure that we get clear. B Lab is a nonprofit organization, and as Sarah mentioned, we really are working on setting that standard for what it means to be a responsible business. And we see that kind of, this is our sort of vision statement, we see that as being part of a global movement of people using business as a force for good. And so we're really, all of our programming, all of our tools are really oriented around that singular purpose of helping people to use business as a force for good. And this is truly just part of an overall trend. B Lab certainly did not create this movement, but we're hoping, or rather working to bolster it. And when we talk about that movement, what are we talking about? We're really talking about a shift in the business community, in the mindset of our business leaders around the world, from what we can consider as sort of the traditional, at least the traditional American sense of business, which has been to maximize shareholder value, period. And I'm sure that all of you on the webinar today can kind of resonate with the idea that that's shifting a little bit. We do want to, of course, maximize shareholder value. That's great, but we don't want to do it at all costs. We really also, at the same time, business leaders today are more and more wanting to also maximize social value, also protect the environment, and essentially, be profitable, but do it in a way that's good for our communities and good for our workers. And we're seeing that trend through organizations like PISC emerging, through business leaders like yourselves, as well as through millions and millions of conscious consumers that are choosing to buy your brands or to shop at your stores because you are more responsible. And in the last 20 years, we've seen that trend really rise up, and a lot of certifications have come around as a result. And we've seen, I think there's a list of 200 plus different product level certifications that cover everything from organic certification, fair trade certification, Energy Star or LEED for buildings. And these are all wonderful things. They're really helping us as consumers, as businesses, identify whether a product is good. Whether we want to use that product or engage in that service, because we want to understand that again, it's not just about maximizing profits, but that product or service is also doing something good for the world while it is being made or while it is being used. And that's all wonderful, and this is a really important element of the overall movement. But what we're seeing is that individuals and businesses desire more than that. They want to know not only that the product itself is sustainable, but that the organization as a whole is actually operating in a different way. We care how workers are treated. We care how products are produced. We care how things are sourced. We care about how companies actually give back to the community. And so consumers are really starting to demand this. They're saying that they really want to know more information about a company when they're making that purchase decision. And so, likely you all know this, and this is probably why you're here today, because you're seeing those market drivers. Whether you're hearing that from your employees, whether you're hearing that from your investors, or yourself as a leader, you're really starting to feel that sense that there can be more, and that there's a way to provide kind of more insight into all the great work that you do, so that your consumers, so that your workers and investors actually know that you are a good company and that you don't just make a good product. And so this is really where the B Corp certification comes in. And so a B Corp certification is to businesses essentially what fair trade is to coffee, or what organic is to an apple. It really is saying that the company as a whole is operating differently, that the company as a whole is responsible and not just that individual product. And so kind of tying back to where our partnership with PISC comes in, it's really starting with that step number one, which is helping companies to measure and move on to verify their level of performance. And so what do certified B corporations do? What makes them different? They really do three things. The first is to measure that social and environmental performance. So they measure it and they have it verified by the nonprofit B Lab. And this ensures that the company is actually doing all the stuff that they say that they're doing, that essentially you're not greenwashing, and it provides a way to learn about best practices and improve your overall performance. The next step is making that score transparent. So certified B corporations choose to take that score that they get from the assessment and actually publish that on our website. And most of them choose to publish this information also on their own website and use it in a lot of other creative ways, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But that's one of the differences. So as you go in and engage with the PISC Quick Impact Assessment, you'll see that score is completely confidential, that you don't have to share that publicly. But what you do when you choose to be a certified B corporation is that you choose to go a little bit further, take what's called the full B impact assessment, and then actually get that score verified, and then eventually make it transparent to the public. And this is what helps individuals, again, workers, investors, and so on, to identify you as a good company. The third piece is, in addition to the measurement pieces, there's actually a deeper level of accountability that B Corps hold themselves to. This is a level of actual legal responsibility that they build in to their articles of incorporation or to their LLC operating agreement that says, yes, we do believe that it is important not only to maximize shareholder value, but also to provide value to our stakeholders. And this is a really important element of the B Corp certification, because you may or may not be familiar that the current state of corporate law in the United States actually does not allow companies to consider factors other than their shareholder interests. We could talk a lot more about that, and that's really a kind of full conversation in and of itself. But what B Corps do is they say in their legal documents that they are actually giving themselves the legal right and responsibility to do more than just maximize shareholder value, but to actually think about their stakeholders through their business decisions. And so on that note, another B clarification. Today we're really talking about the certified B Corp. And this, is essentially B Corp for short. You can say B Corporation, but this is different than a benefit corporation. So a certified B Corporation is a company that has gone through those three steps that we just talked about, that meets that higher level of accountability, transparency, and performance, and actually has that verified by the nonprofit B Lab. A benefit corporation is one of the ways that companies meet the legal or the accountability requirement for B Corp certification. It is actually a legal entity that a corporation can choose when they are filing their articles of incorporation, or you can go back and do that with your state. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in just a minute, so I just want to make that clarification that we're talking about the certified B Corporation. The benefit corporation is an important part of this overall picture and the overall movement, but it sort of sits as just one potential way to meet the legal or accountability requirement of the certified B Corporation. That's a mouthful. We'll come back to that. I know there may be questions in your mind. But to get us back, this slide is a little out of date. There's actually now over 1,500 certified B corporations around the world. And many of these are wonderful companies that you probably know and love, including companies like Patagonia, who have a long-standing reputation for being a really great, responsible company, and maybe other companies that you didn't know as much about in terms of their social or environmental impact. A company like Dansko Shoes or Etsy, the online craft retailer. Companies that perhaps don't always wear their social impact on their sleeve, but really operate this way on a day-to-day basis. Or even companies like King Arthur Flour, who is I believe a 250-year-old company that makes flour for baking purposes. And so there's all kinds of companies here, everything from those that you might identify as some of the leaders to those maybe that were a little more unexpected. And I should mention that in addition to all these product companies that we're talking about, there's actually a very large group of service companies that are part of the community. Companies from financial institutions to consultants to insurance companies and so on. So there are many, many service companies and companies small and large. They really do span all industries, all sizes, across the board. And so if you're looking for additional examples, you can certainly search on our website and find profiles for all 1,500 of our B Corps around the world. And of course, near and dear to our hearts is PISC founding member Westpaw Design, and Westpaw is one of the pet industry companies that is part of the B Corp community, and of course has been a really, really great sort of role model and champion for sustainable business for a long time. Another company, just to give you a little bit deeper sense, is Method Cleaning Products. Again, a company that you may not have known had a really strong focus on responsibility, but Method really has in all of their operations, sort of from how they treat their workers to how they make their product, really incorporated these concepts. So why is it that companies decide to become a certified B Corporation? If you talk to a certified B Corp, probably the first thing that they'll tell you is that the reason why they were so attracted to this movement is because they wanted to be part of a leading group. They wanted to be a leader. They wanted to really take their own impact and leverage it in a way that they could not do alone. And so you see a quote here from the CEO of Patagonia, but really this is something that resonates, I think, throughout the B Corp community, that B Corps really believe that this is the future and this is the way that business should be done, and they want to be a part of that. But of course, that really can't be the only reason. We all know that there's a lot of things that we would love to do with our businesses that we frankly just don't have the time or bandwidth to do. And so we have to make the case compelling. There has to be a business case. And so these are some of the things that you'll hear when you talk to B Corps about what's the business case for their certification. In addition to being that part of that group of leaders, they'll sort of cite everything from attracting and engaging talent to raising capital to just saving money, and a lot of these we can go into a lot more detail on. There's more information on our website. We'll only have time to touch on a few today, but please again visit our website for more information, and you can always reach out to us if you have additional questions. So one of the sort of the threads that ties all B Corps together, regardless of what industry, what size, what they might say, they're really getting out of the certification. One thing that you'll almost always hear is that a primary value of this process is really benchmarking and improving their performance. And, again, the way that PISC members should start in this process is engaging through that PISC QIA. And what you'll find, and what B Corps talk about a lot, is that that process in and of itself is hugely valuable. That you may already be doing a lot of great things to improve your social and environmental impact, but what you'll find is that there are so many things that you haven't thought of. And so the assessment is really designed to be very comprehensive and showcase lots of different ways that a company might be able to create impact. And so this is just one example of, this is Etsy that we were just mentioning. And Etsy went through the initial certification process and came in right at the minimum score for certification, which is an 80. And they said to themselves, well, that's just not good enough. We don't want to be just passing. We really want to excel. And one of the things that you'll hear from the founders of Etsy and from the other folks that have been really involved in their B Corp efforts is that they were truly surprised at how much their employees actually cared about this stuff. And what happened is that Etsy employees were so passionate about wanting to really dig in and improve their score, they actually called to have a full day, what they called a hackathon, that actually brought all their employees together, and they sat and they really dug through the assessment and figured out ways to improve their score. And these were employees that may not have touched this stuff on a day-to-day basis. Customer service reps, really entry-level administrative folks. And they found a way to get really inspired by the fact that Etsy was interested in improving, interested in being a responsible company, and that process in and of itself not only increased their score an incredible amount to a 105, which is a really amazing score, but also was a way to really deeply engage their employees. And so that's really one of the things that you'll hear, one of the things that you'll hear a lot. So as we're talking about benchmarking, what the heck are we talking about really when we talk about these practices? This kind of gives you a sense of the different things that the assessment measures. So it includes metrics from governance, workers, community, and the environment. The fifth section actually looks at the company's business model in and of itself. It asks the question, is there a specific social or environmental problem that you're trying to address with your business model? And that might look something like actually giving a substantial amount of your revenue or profits back to a charity. Or it might be a really radical innovation that you've made in your manufacturing process to make to drastically reduce your environmental impact. So things along those lines. A lot of companies, though, get all their credit in what we look at as the practices section, and that's those first four. And those cover everything from who owns the company, what is your actual mission statement, does that include a social or environmental commitment, and then things like how you treat your workers, what kind of benefits you have, your employment practices, how you give back or volunteer in the community, employee training, and so on. And then, of course, it includes your environmental footprint, looking at your own facilities, looking at your supply chain, looking at manufacturing practices or sourcing practices, and so on. So once we do that benchmarking, and again, a lot of companies get a lot of value just from that process. But once you do that, once you've gone through and actually verified your score, of course you want to leverage that. And so what you'll find, and especially with product-based companies, but also with service-based companies, that B Corps really love to talk about and leverage their B Corp certification. So this is one example of an ad campaign that B Corps can participate in that really showcases what makes that company different. So, looking at Made in the USA, gives paid time off for employees, and really helps to demonstrate what it is that these companies are doing that's better and different. So this is something that Method and Ben and Jerry's and lots of the big companies participate in this brand campaign. And so one of the really nice things about this is that it also helps you, perhaps as a company that is less known in the market, perhaps you don't have as big of a marketing budget, or perhaps you do, but you weren't really known in the past as a really socially responsible company. It's actually allowing you to align with these companies, align with a company, say like a Patagonia or like an Etsy or a Warby Parker or whoever those companies are that might also resonate with your consumers. It helps you align with them and say, oh, I know what a certified B Corp is. I heard that that Ben and Jerry's is a certified B Corp. I saw their ad, and now I'm seeing that same ad for for your pet products company. And so now B Corps are really taking this initiative to retail. So there's been a number of different retail campaigns, including a campaign last year in Whole Foods that included end caps highlighting B Corps. Some of these photos were also from other national retailers that have run similar campaigns and have actually had a large amount of success. They've seen strong increases in sales from those B Corps that were featured, as well as strong increases in sales for B Corps that weren't featured in the end caps. So they actually had some shelf talkers around the store in this particular campaign, and they actually saw that sales increased for other B Corps, which means that, like this woman pictured here, people were actually stopping, reading, engaging, learning about the B Corp movement, and then actually going and picking out other B Corp products on the shelf, which I think is a really encouraging trend. So recognizing that B Corp certification is not yet what organic certification is, but consumer awareness really is on the rise, and these retail campaigns have been a really great way to continue to get that message out. And we also have a number of B Corp retailers within the community, and so they obviously love to run these type of campaigns and really promote the certification. A couple other examples with some great images of ways that companies are using the certification through ads, through, you can see the B on the shopping bag there, and so we're seeing more and more of this kind of stuff. So moving on, another major value that you'll hear from B Corps is about collaborating with your peers. And this is a huge one when you ask B Corps. They'll say it's a little hard to quantify, but we really get a ton of value out of being able to connect with other leaders, being able to learn from them, being able to collaborate with them, having a place to ask questions, having this broader community of companies perhaps outside of your industry that you can share with and share ideas and collaborate with. So every year we hold a retreat. It's called the B Corp Champions Retreat. Bring together leaders from these companies all around the world and get together and really brainstorm about how we can move this movement forward as a group. What you're seeing in the upper left is also an online platform we have for connecting and collaborating. And one of the great things about this, it's called the Bee Hive, more bees, is that it actually allows you to connect directly with other B Corps. So perhaps you are looking to connect with another company in the community to do business together. The Beehive actually provides you an outlet to do that. So you're able to connect directly with other folks in the community, which is facilitating lots of great business relationships. Some collaborations that have come out of that, a fun one that's relevant right now is New Belgium came out recently with a beer in collaboration with Ben and Jerry's, and vice versa. Ben and Jerry's came out with an ice cream in collaboration with New Belgium. They actually had a whole video series talking about why they decided to collaborate with each other, and it was primarily because they were both B Corps, and they realized that they had really similar values. And as you all know, that's something that's pretty rare to see in the consumer product space, so that's a really fun one. We talked a little bit about this, but one of the things that has a really tangible bottom line impact is this ability to attract and engage talent. And what companies are finding is that employees really, really care about this stuff. employees, job seekers seek out B Corps. B Corps are actually able to use the B Corp job board for free. And so, especially young college graduates are going and seeking out B Corps to work for. And what we're finding is that B Corps actually have significantly more satisfied and engaged employees, which of course means reduced turnover, which is real bottom line value. And these employees are often coming to B Corps that they may never have found or engaged with if it wasn't for the fact that they were a certified B Corp. And so, one of the really cool things that's happened as part of this this movement that B Lab wasn't necessarily driving is universities like Yale and Columbia and NYU have actually offered some tuition forgiveness to their students who go on and work for B Corps because they believe so much in the value of this community and the ability of this community to make positive change that they want their students to go on and work there. So again, the really top tier talent that may otherwise not have found or sought out your company, but is able to connect with you and be motivated to come and work really hard for your company that otherwise you may not have ever found. So I know we just have a few minutes left, and I want to touch on the actual path to B Corp certification so that you get a sense of what it actually takes to get through the process. So first, who can certify? It's companies of any size. So again, small, large, you can be a sole practitioner and still become a certified B Corp. Any industry and geography, again, we have B Corps around the world. The assessment is customized for you, so it's customized based on your industry, and specifically with PISC, we have a customized quick impact assessment that's very specific for your industry, and also customized based on your size and geography. Companies with any legal structure. So we'll talk about this again in a moment, but you don't have to be a corporation in order to be a certified B Corporation. This is an important point because I understand that it's confusing. You can be an LLC, you can be an LLP, you can have other legal structures, you can be a cooperative and still be a certified B Corporation. Your path to meeting that accountability requirement, that legal requirement, will just be different in each case. And lastly, companies that are over a year old, we do have a pathway for startups, but it's a little different. So first step, you meet that performance requirement. So the first thing you want to do is get onto that quick impact assessment. Once you complete that, once you get your score, you want to move on to the full B impact assessment that is required for certification. So that'll help you dig in a little bit deeper into your impact. So you complete that. You'll get on the phone with our team, you'll verify that score, you'll go through a process that involves some documentation, and once you have that finalized score, and if it's below 80, we'll give you some tips for improvement. There's some great improvement guides available for you. Once you have a score of more than 80, you can move on to looking at your legal requirement. So again, if you're an LLC, it's a pretty simple requirement. You are incorporating some language into your operating agreement. If you're a corporation, it'll depend a little bit based on your state whether you or not, and so there's a lot of nuances there that are available on our website. And then lastly, you're making it official. You're signing a term sheet and agreeing to pay the certification fee tiered based on your revenue, and all that's available on our website as well. And then I know that there's a PISC link too. Here's the link that is from our website, bimpactassessment.net/PISC, to get started on that quick impact assessment. And I think with that, we're just right about at the 30-minute mark. And so, Sarah, I'll pass it back over to you.
Thank you, Kara. So right now we can do any questions that anyone has, and then after I will be emailing out the presentation to everyone that is on the call, and we'll be making the webinar available on the PISC site, so that way you can share with your team. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Keep in mind that you might have the mute button on. All right, well, if there are no questions, Kara's information will be included in the presentation that I email out, so if anyone wants to contact her directly after the webinar, please feel free. Also, if you have any questions for me, you can always email me directly at sarah@petsustainability.org, which will have my email when I send this out, so just let us know. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending, and look forward to having you on the next webinar. All right, thanks, Kara.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.